How many times have you asked students to read an article or watch a YouTube video and often wondered, did they really get it or did they even read or watch it? So, in our last article, we went into some tools that you can use to make sure that this actually happens and really provide some formative assessment along the way to see how your students are comprehending the information you provide them. One of the tools that we shared was Actively Learn. Actively Learn is so easy to sign up and use, and there's some great content that you can actually then tap into for free. So the first thing I need to do is go to Actively Learn, and I can sign up with my Google account, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. And when I do, what you'll see is that I now can load up some content. Now, I've already actually done that, and I have an account created here. But you'll notice that there's an actual catalog, and that catalog is broken down by all of the grade levels, subject areas, and free versus paid content. You'll notice here that of the nearly 20,000 resources that are located on the site, while 3,000 isn't a large percentage of the 20,000, still 3,000 resources that are free within much of these content areas. So as I narrow that down to just the free content, you'll notice that a pretty large portion of the resources that are available are all within the lens of science. So I'm going to pick a biology, and we'll just pick one here on cells. Okay, so I can either preview it or I can say I want to select that. I can also select it, you'll notice down here, without the actual assignment already embedded. You also may have noticed that the content standards were there. So I'm going to go ahead to that workspace, and you'll see that here is where I now can actually begin to really customize the contents that's there. So while the reading is here, and you can obviously assess the functional grade level that the appropriateness that your students would be doing, what you'll notice is that there are places where there are questions. Everywhere that there's questions, you'll see that there is an embedded content bubble where the students have to respond in order to actually be able to move on through that article. Okay, so as the students, if I were to view this as a student, I would see all of these text boxes, and I would be able to actually go in and submit them at the end of the article or at the end of my reading. So as a classroom teacher, I would be able to see very quickly whether my students are actually understanding that content or not. Edpuzzle, on the other hand, is a very similar way to be able to do the same type of content engagement, but it's through the use of YouTube. So again, if I want to start, I can go ahead and take their tour, or I can simply say, no, I'm ready to move on. Now, what is nice about the tour is it does provide you with all of the things that you can actually do that you would actually do in the first Edpuzzle. So once again, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create this with my account. Yes, of course I would like to do that. And now that I did that, okay, I'm ready to go. You'll notice that I can either search again, so maybe I'll do something on chemistry, and we'll do something maybe on atoms. Okay, here's one that's on the nucleus. What I really like about the use of Edpuzzle is that it allows me to make it so that the students cannot continue on in the video. Besides the very easy, it makes it so that the students can't go on in the video until they actually have answered the question. So if you've ever had those students that just hit next, 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 or they skip through the questions and don't actually read any of them, they can't even play the video any further until that actually happens. It also allows me to crop the video to exactly the segment size that I want to use. So hopefully this video segment gives you two really concrete examples of how you can use tools in your classroom to have students be formatively assessed on Actively Learn through the embedding of questions within existing content, or you can even upload up to 3 assignments or 3 digital content pieces a month for free, or Edpuzzle, where you can also choose content that's already created by them, or use anything that's out on YouTube. The great thing about Edpuzzle is that, and the partnership with YouTube, is that any video you create, you can upload to YouTube yourself and then have students actually answer questions about it. So you could even post, if you're working in an environment where you're having students work in an independent learning station, you could pre-record your lectures if that's a small section of your lesson, have them watch it in not YouTube, but watch it in Edpuzzle and actually answer questions that are related to your lecture. Now, instead of only one person raising their hand and answering, or you only able to call on one person to answer, you'll get an actual response stored in Edpuzzle for you to go back and review later on from every single student. This form of diagnostic assessment and formative assessment is going to change the way teachers are able to truly differentiate and personalize learning for the students in their classroom.